Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the absolutely astonishing transformation of a sleepy, quiet farming village into one of the greatest, most powerful global hubs of the ancient world. If you've ever wondered how civilizations managed to scale up from practically nothing into sprawling empires, well, you're gonna love this. We are diving into the epic story of Patliputra. Picture this, a quiet, rural landscape. We're starting with the humble village of Patligram. Back in the day, this was just an unremarkable little cluster of mud and thatch huts sitting near a massive riverbank. But if we hit fast forward on the historical timeline, those tiny huts vanish completely. And in their place, colossal wooden ramparts, broad brick pathways, and sprawling stone complexes. So how on earth did a tiny farming village pull off that kind of extreme metamorphosis to become an ancient superpower? Let's figure it out. Section 1. The Unlikely Village, Patligram's Humble Beginnings. Section 2. The Mastermind and the Need, King Ajatashatru's Dilemma. Now, to understand how this massive shift happened, we gotta step back into the 5th century BCE and look at the mastermind behind it all, King Ajatashatru of Magadha. He was a leader facing a massive existential geopolitical problem. His empire was growing, right? But his original capital, Rajgriha, was mountain-locked. Sure, mountains offer great natural defense, but they become a giant bottleneck when you need rapid troop movement and expansive trade routes. On the flip side, we have Patligram. It was river-based and wide open. The king needed a dynamic strategic military launchpad to counter rival factions, specifically the Likshavis. He realized he couldn't just hide in the mountains anymore. The solution was crystal clear. The capital had to move. So the king takes action, and the sheer engineering effort deployed here is just staggering. Laborers started digging these deep, massive trenches right over the footprint of the old village. They raised colossal logs of salwood to create towering ramparts. I mean, almost overnight in historical terms, they transformed this quiet little village into a hardcore, heavily fortified military fort. This was a massive mobilization of resources, driven by pure geopolitical necessity. Section 3. The Ultimate Water Fort, a Geographical Superpower. It wasn't just the wood and the trenches that made this place so special. It was the geography itself acting as the ultimate weapon. The king's successor, King Udayan, saw this incredible potential and officially shifted the capital there. And you can see why. The city was completely hugged by water. You've got the massive Ganges River flanking it to the north, the winding Son River protecting the west, and the Punpun River to the south. The whole layout of the city basically ended up looking like a giant fortified longboat, just a total geographical masterpiece of natural defense. Actually, this specific type of setup has a name, and it's key to understanding the city's rise. It's called a Jal Durga, a natural water fort. Being completely surrounded by these massive rivers made the city practically impregnable to invading ancient armies. Because, let's face it, you can't exactly march infantry across a raging river very easily. But the real genius of the Jal Durga is its dual purpose. Those exact same rivers that keep your enemies out, they double as the ultimate frictionless trade highway. Overnight, the city became highly secure and perfectly positioned to rake in incredible wealth. Section 4. Center of Ancient Empires, the Golden Age. Thanks to that rock-solid military foundation and geographical brilliance, Patliputra evolved way beyond a simple fort. It became the beating heart for India's mightiest empires. We're talking the nerve center for the Nanda, Mauryan, and Gupta empires. It was home to Chanakya, the legendary strategist, and the birthplace of the Arthashastra, one of history's most important treatises on statecraft and economics. Imagine walking through this city during the Mauryan era. You'd see Emperor Ashoka's legendary palace with these huge, gleaming, polished sandstone pillars reflecting the sun, bustling international markets packed with goods from all over the known world. It was a global hub of such immense wealth and scale that it literally stunned the Greek historians who visited it. When we track the epic arc of the city's journey, we see it start in the 5th century BCE as King Ajatashatru's fort, built purely out of military necessity. Then it levels up when King Udayan makes it the official capital. It hits absolute peak global dominance during the Mauryan era with Ashoka's awe-inspiring palace. And then, finally, we arrive at the modern era, where the remnants of this once global superpower find their ultimate resting place. Section 5. Beneath Modern Patna, a Buried Legacy. Which leads us to a pretty wild realization about the world we walk on today. Just let this sink in for a second. That grand ancient superpower, the exact city that housed Ashoka's polished pillars and blew the minds of Greek historians, today it lies buried directly beneath the bustling, everyday streets of modern-day Patna in Bihar. It is absolutely fascinating to think that a colossal piece of human history, a sprawling ancient metropolis, is quite literally hiding right under the pavement, while people go about their daily lives completely unaware of the empire beneath their feet.
It really makes you look at the ground you're walking on a little differently, doesn't it? So, what other forgotten ancient superpowers do you think are lying right beneath our feet? Think about all that hidden history buried right in our own backyards. If you found this journey from a mud hut village to a buried empire as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit follow for more incredible history explainers. Catch you next time.
Look down at modern-day Patna, and you'll see a sprawling maze of concrete and heavy urban traffic. But lying directly beneath these streets is the buried infrastructure of an ancient superpower. Thousands of years ago, this site held wealth so immense and architecture so massive that early Greek historians wrote about it in disbelief. How did a tiny, unremarkable farming village named Patligram transform into a megacity that would dominate the ancient world? In the 5th century BCE, King Ajatashatru of Magadha ruled from the mountain-locked valley of Rajgriha. These rocky hillsides offered safety, but they created a geographic trap. The steep, restrictive terrain choked off his army's ability to move quickly. To counter his expanding rivals, the king had to make a choice. He needed to abandon the safety of the mountains to secure strategic mobility on the plains. Ajatashatru scanned the map and identified a small farming village near a vast river delta as his new tactical launchpad. His laborers leveled the village, tearing down mud and thatch huts to carve deep military trenches right over the ground. They raised towering observation posts and ramparts cut from massive logs of saw wood. This site was a ruthless forward operating base, a military tool that proved more effective than even Ajatashatru likely imagined. His successor, King Udayan, recognized this tactical potential and officially moved the empire's capital there, naming it Patliputra. The river network centering on Patliputra formed a Jal Durga, a natural water fort. To the north, the massive Ganges formed a thick natural boundary. Flanking west and south, the Son and Punpun rivers completed the perimeter, shaping the city like a giant fortified longboat. These riverbanks acted as an impossibly wide natural moat, rendering the settlement virtually safe from invading ground armies. While the water kept enemy armies out, it functioned as an unstoppable trade highway that flooded the city with international wealth. By mastering its geography, Patliputra became the nerve center for India's 3 mightiest empires, the Nandas, the Mauryas, and the Guptas. The influx of wealth triggered an intellectual boom. The city became the home of the strategist Chanakya and the birthplace of the Arthashastra. Under Emperor Ashoka, the original wooden fort evolved into a sprawling complex of polished sandstone palaces and grand monasteries. Physical evidence of this grand imperial architecture still stands today among the ancient brick ruins. Every sandstone pillar and political text from this era traces directly back to that one masterstroke of controlling the river trade routes. Today, the same river network that built those empires continues to be the lifeblood of the region. The quiet rhythm of wooden boats on the water masks the bustle of the megacity buried right below. By trading the safety of the mountains for the reach of the rivers, an ancient empire built a geographic engine that anchored regional politics for nearly 1,000 years.